Hi, Analisa 6 here with the May 2023 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Capricorn, Sun and Rising, coming to you from the Sober Curator and Lady of Leisure. Hi, Capricorns, how are you? I'm talking to you post eclipse. We had a Scorpio lunar eclipse yesterday morning, I guess. It happened in the morning, not at night. I always think of the night because we see the moon at night, but it happened, I believe, around 10:30 in the morning yesterday, Pacific time. And let's talk about how it impacted you. We're going to kind of start at the beginning of the month. It's May 6th when I'm recording this, so we're already a kind of full week into it. And I am dealing with the kind of post-eclipse, tired, drunk kind of feeling that the moon gives me around this time when I'm coming out of it being full. There's just a grogginess that the full moon gives me nowadays. So we entered May with Mercury retrograde and making a cazimi to the sun on the second day of May. And so May started out a little wonky, a little discombobulated, but the area that it's hitting for you is actually not as frustrating as it could be for some of the other people. It's hitting the area that has to do with your identity around how you express yourself and also your creative energy. And so if you've been kind of in this period of reflecting on how you're putting yourself out into the world, how you express yourself creatively, even how you express yourself in a romantic way with a partner, those are all things that are highlighted. Children are highlighted, your inner child is highlighted. So there's a few things that could happen if you have kids. There's an emphasis on them over this period where we have so much energy in Taurus. We've got 5 celestial bodies in Taurus starting May out. So this area of the chart is super poignant for the first week of May. And there could be communication discrepancies with children, or, us kind of having to work out things with children. If we're kidless, which, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people in my life have kids now, but I think more people that I talk to in my immediate circles don't have kids. And so the other part of children that plays into this area of the house is our inner child. So the way that we connect to our inner child. And I had a friend once that associated talking about the inner child with trauma. And so ever since that conversation, it made me realize that we all have a different relationship to what inner child means. Inner child does not necessarily mean we're talking to the traumatized child, but it can mean that if that's something that you need to work on or work through, which a Mercury retrograde and an eclipse highlighting this area could be bringing some of those issues up in terms of how we express ourselves. So if you're a Capricorn where creative self-expression or self-expression is something that's hard for you, then maybe going to the trauma around that in an inner child kind of way where we have to heal that is relevant. But if you're not somebody that has issues with that, and if creative self-expression is something that you're naturally very inclined towards and it comes easily for you, then, the inner child that we might be connecting with is the child that has play and joy associated with it, not trauma. The inner child where we are free to express ourselves in just a way where we're not judging it. There's no judgment. It's just woohoo, having fun, good time. And one of the things I think about Capricorn, I love Capricorn energy. I think I'm one of the few people that I know when I meet a Capricorn dominant person, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Because I think a lot of people find Capricorn to be very hard and cold and intimidating and serious. And Capricorn can have that side to it. It rules tradition. It rules being kind of this driven workhorse that wants to succeed in life and wants to win at whatever it's doing, wants to be the best at whatever it's doing. And some Capricorns can be kind of, competitive and dominating in a way that does rub people the wrong way, whether they intend to be or not, because their quest to be good at what they do is sometimes it comes off in the wrong ways. I think that the evolved Capricorn doesn't necessarily come off that way. It comes off very talented, very confident, very secure, and just is good at what they do and is an expert in their field, or just, exudes confidence in a way that sure can be intimidating, but also just props, respect, all that kind of stuff. And what happens, I think, with Capricorn having this drive is that sometimes it takes things seriously in a way that to those of us that don't take things as seriously is sometimes laughable. Like, it's like, really, you're going to take this that seriously? And I've watched other Capricorn dominant astrologers do that too. And I've watched myself do it. I also have some Capricorn energy in my chart. So it happens for me too. I'm not as dominant as, you know, a Cap, moon, sun, or rising. But sometimes it's like, have some fun with what you're doing. Chill out, learn to laugh, learn to not be so rigid or academic about it, you know? And I think that that's the part that Capricorn could gain from having this energy passing through the self-expression inner child house is all work and no play makes Danny a dull boy, you know, or Johnny a dull boy, whatever they say. I think Danny's from The Shining. He's like, right, that's the name in The Shining, or is it Johnny? No, it's Johnny. Tommy's the son, makes Tommy a dull boy. I feel like I've heard so many people say that with different names. Is Danny from Tommy Boy? No, Tommy's in that one too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I got that from. But either way, I feel like, you know, when we take life too seriously or we take what we do too seriously, it does become rigid and not fun anymore. And it kind of becomes mundane. And I think that there's an opportunity for Capricorn over this first part of May with Mercury here and the sun here and this eclipse to find ways to work more joy into the mundane or work more joy into how you express yourself in your creative projects and what you're doing. And that, yes, success and recognition and accolades are great, but what's equally, or if not more important, is whether or not we enjoy what we do at the end of the day, right? And, you know, for some people, they don't think about that. They don't think about whether or not they're enjoying it. They just think about the task or the goal that's at hand and whether or not they're meeting that criteria. Sure, that's great. But again, like, let's have some fun. Let's have some joy. Let's connect to our inner child. So that's a big theme for you. The eclipse hit that area of the chart, and the lunar placement was actually in the social part of the chart. And so in the area that has to do with our community, the groups that we associate with, the social part. And so, you know, eclipses kind of crack us open and kind of put a frequency of energy around where something's finally kind of making itself known or put into our awareness. And so this combination of like self-expression and how we're, you know, putting things out there, and then the friendship circles or the groups that we associate with being highlighted, we might be kind of reflecting on that. Like, how do we express ourselves in our community? How do we connect with our community? How do we connect in our social circles? Do we feel like we're in alignment with the community or the social circles that we're connecting with? And so those are things that you might have been reflecting on during the eclipse. You might have also gained some recognition during the eclipse period or some validation in some way around something that you've been doing. You know, Taurus energy too trines Capricorn. So Earth likes Earth. It's a positive energy for Capricorn, and it really amplifies the work that you're doing in who you are, you know, and how you're expressing yourself around those things. So today is the 6th that I'm recording this on. So we're post eclipse, and tomorrow Venus is going to enter the sign of Cancer, which is the polar opposite of Capricorn. And so whenever we have a planet that's in our opposition, it's kind of like we naturally have a weighted, you know, energy in this sign, Capricorn, that's you. And then the polarity of us is coming in and pulling us kind of more over here. And it's helpful for us in the sense that it can really balance us in a positive way. And if you're a Capricorn that has Cancer energy, you're already experiencing that balance of polarity. But if you're a Capricorn that doesn't have any Cancer energy, then you might be feeling like, whoa, this feels uncomfortable. This is the opposite of what I'm used to. And Cancer is, you know, cardinal water. It's active emotions, active self-care, active vulnerability. And if you're a Capricorn dominant person that lacks Cancer or a lot of water energy, those things are hard for you, or they're uncomfortable for you. It's uncomfortable to be vulnerable. It's uncomfortable, or, you know, sometimes perceived as weak to be sad openly, or, you know, we can't show too much of our feelings. We have to be strong and tough and resilient. That's very Capricorn. But Cancer is not like that. Cancer is more about nurturing, connecting to feelings, being vulnerable, being okay with being sensitive, being empathic, and, you know, active self-care when it comes to our feelings and our vulnerability and our emotions. You've already had Mars passing through this area of the chart. It makes relationships hard when Mars is passing through here. There's more opportunity for conflict or disagreements. But with Venus entering this area tomorrow, it actually comes and brings in resolution and kind of this need for romantic connection and partnership. And so if you are a single Capricorn and you've been dating, then the dating scene has probably been kind of hard. And now Venus is coming in to ease some of that or bring some resolution. If you're in a relationship and you've been having conflict in the relationship, again, Venus is coming in to bring some ease and some resolution, and she'll be here for the rest of the month. So you'll be wanting to feel that resolution. And what helps you in that resolution is leaning into your emotions, leaning into being vulnerable, leaning into allowing yourself to be sensitive and not seeing it as a weakness or a failure. It's okay to cry. That's what Capricorn needs to hear. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional. Shortly after that, on the 14th, the evening of the 14th, Mercury will be stationing direct in Taurus, and will be continuing through Taurus in direct motion and out of the shadow period by the 21st, 22nd of May. And so again, we might be feeling more momentum about how we're expressing ourselves, where we want to find joy in our life. Creative self-expression and romance is highlighted here. Connecting through art and food and nature is really positive for this time period. Shortly after Mercury stations direct, we're going to have Jupiter entering Taurus and joining the Taurus party as well. And this is great. This is awesome for finding ways to step more into your creativity and joy, and finding ways to really express yourself artistically or creatively, and connecting to that inner child in a positive way. And Jupiter is going to be passing through this area for the rest of the year. So you're going to have this amplification of a need to kind of find yourself in this way for the rest of the year. And then after that, we have a new moon in Taurus. So a new moon enters this area, which is also a great time to set intentions towards how you want to express yourself moving forward. And that new moon's happening on May 19th at 28 degrees of Taurus. And so again, setting intentions. Also, I will say, if you are a Capricorn dominant person who wants to have kids, this is a really positive time for setting intentions around having children or having a family. You are more likely to have success with fertility when you have Jupiter and a new moon in this area. So again, this is positive for setting intentions towards that as well. And then around the 21st, we are going to have Mars move into Leo while the sun is moving into Gemini. And so let's take a look and see where that's hitting in the chart. So Mars in Leo is going to be entering the area that has to do with shared assets and resources, also marriage. And again, Mars here brings some conflict or some challenges here. So you might have some challenges with, financial institutions. It's not a positive time to really refinance or take on any loans, in the sense that there could be some discrepancies. It's not necessarily a negative time to do it or look into it if you have the right counsel. So it's just one of those things where it could go either way when Mars is here. If you have the right counsel, the right advice, the right people kind of there helping you in this, you might make good decisions. But if you're by yourself and you don't really know what you're doing, there's more risk here. With Mars here. The other thing that happens sometimes when Mars is here is marital problems or problems with partners that you share assets or resources with, or family members that you might share assets or resources with. And so Mars is going to be passing through this area of the chart, from the last part of May all the way through June. And so if you start experiencing some conflict in that part of your life, seeking marital counsel or counsel mediation around that stuff is important. I have seen in people's personal natal charts that they really start to have some, like if there was issues in the marriage that you weren't working on, this is the time where it starts to come up where you're forced to kind of have to work on it. And so that's stuff that you might be navigating, pretty much up until July, mid-July, when Mars is entering Virgo. And on the plus side, Venus will be entering Venus will be entering Leo in June and joining the Mars energy during that time. And Venus comes and brings resolution and helps, ease a lot of that stuff. And Venus is going to be in Leo for a much longer time. So there's definitely going to be resolution and some peace coming in, but Mars is going to kick up some dust and kind of bring some stuff into the awareness in a way that might feel challenging at first. So just things to be aware of. There are more transits happening throughout the month that lend themselves to wanting to work on your relationship to how you communicate with others. There's a lot happening in the earth and water signs over the month of May that are positive energies. And so learning how to speak more empathically, learning how to get more in touch with your emotions and your communication with others, all that kind of stuff is highlighted. And I get more into the specific transits in the May 2023 astrology forecast. I'm not going to go into each little transit for each horoscope video because it would just take way too long. But if you're interested in what those transits are, you can watch that video that is at the top of the playlist. All right, Capricorn, it was so great to see what's going on with you for the month of May. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want more notifications on when I release these horoscopes. And you can find me at thesobercurator.com and ladyofleosure.com. And I will see you all next month.